We are off and running on a Monday. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Move the Sticks, presented by Grifols Plasma Donation Centers. I'm Rhett Lewis here with our former NFL scout and NFL vet, Bucky Brooks. And Bucky, just as your Halloween Sunday sugar high was settling into a mellow Monday morning, bam! How about some breaking news to bring back the buzz? Thank you very much, Rams General Manager Les Snead, who has pulled off a trade to acquire Von Miller, edge rusher extraordinaire from the Denver Broncos. The Rams will send a 2022 second and third round pick to Denver as part of the trade. Rams never like those draft picks anyway, Bucky. As we get a look at this one, the Rams 16th in the league in terms of generating pressure this year. Getting a guy like Von Miller certainly helps in that category.
So I love this. I love what the Rams are doing. And look, this goes against what every team builder would talk about in terms of accumulating picks. But what I love about the Rams, they are all about players over picks. They want proven players, guys who have pedigrees and resumes that we can see and feel and watch them. And even though Von Miller isn't the same Von Miller that dominated the game at one point, he's still a flasher. And when you put him on this defense that now looks like Star Wars with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, he only needs to be a compliment on the backside of Aaron Donald. So every now and then he just needs to show up. I like this because you got to win the division. And when you look at the division, Kyler Murray, you got to deal with Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo. You need to be able to get the quarterback down. Von Miller gives him another weapon.
Go back a couple of years ago when they brought Dante Fowler in, right, from the Jaguars and provided a nice boost off the edge, got himself a new contract out in Atlanta, and now maybe Von Miller can provide a similar 1-2 punch with Aaron Donald. And by the way, Von Miller, just to further describe his impact for a defense in the next-gen era, is number one in quarterback pressures. Number three, his new teammate, Aaron Donald. That's since 2016. Now, here's the thing. Von Miller playing in the last year of his contract here, Bucky, that 6-year, $114 million deal he signed. So it begs the question of what happens in the future.
Yeah, but this is great, though. Like, when I was with the Green Bay Packers, Ron Wolf used to do these kind of moves. He would bring someone in, a veteran player, who's either motivated by chasing the ring. Way back with the Green Bay Packers, it was Andre Rison, or it could be some other vet that they would bring in because it adds a little juice to the locker room when everyone is chasing. The Denver Broncos are paying $9 million of the $9.7 million left on the deal. So it's a freebie. Yes, you give up a second and a third round pick, but for the Rams, you get a motivated veteran player, someone who has already won a ring. Maybe he can set the tone and show these other guys how to win a ring if they get an opportunity.
So Von Miller did not play for the Broncos this past week. He was banged up in Week 7 against the Browns, didn't play Week 8, but Vic Fangio had said when he was a member of the Broncos just a couple of days ago that he might be ready, in fact, for Week 9. Rams have the Titans on Sunday Night Football here in L.A. Rams now left with 4 draft picks, by the way, just to close that story out here in 2022. Third rounder, a fifth rounder, and 2 sevenths. Let's get to the Tennessee Titans, who will match up against the L.A. Rams and their new edge rusher Von Miller this week. And it sounds like Derrick Henry will not be available for the Tennessee Titans. He is going to undergo foot surgery, no timetable on his return. Now, our Mike Giardi was at this game for the Titans in Indianapolis and noticed Derrick Henry early in this game with his cleat off, kind of walking around the sidelines, did not necessarily look right, but finished the game, which is crazy to think that he's now going to have surgery and is going to be out for a number of weeks. No timetable again for the return. So where do the Titans go now, considering the percentage of production that came from King Henry on offense?
Well, one, there's no one that can replace King Henry. He is a freak of nature. You just don't see guys who can – look, he was on track to have another 2,000-yard season. And so I don't know if they can find anybody on their locker room or on the streets. Yes, there's conversation about them bringing Adrian Peterson in. But Adrian Peterson isn't going to give them what Derrick Henry gave them. But here's the thing. The Tennessee Titans believe that they're a smash-mouth team, and maybe it doesn't matter who's at tailback. You put a little more pressure on the offensive line to get it done, or you flip the script. Because remember, on the outside, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Ryan Tannehill playing at a high level, maybe they become a little more pass-centric as opposed to being the old bully ball team that has dominated the AFC this season.
Well, when healthy, they've got the targets to be a little bit more pass-heavy with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. And again, for the Tennessee Titans here, Adrian Peterson, as you mentioned, expected to be brought in for a workout. That, according to our NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport. And just ahead in the show, a trade target that might help the Titans now that Derrick Henry is out for a bit. And with that, let's kick off our Big Three, getting back to the games after all that breaking news. And, well, I guess more breaking news because Ian Rappaport also reporting now it's a torn ACL for Jameis Winston. Trevor Siemian had to come on in relief of Winston in the Saints' 36-27 win. And, yes, Tom Brady threw for another 375 and 4 touchdowns, but he turned the ball over 3 times in the Bucs' loss. And the Saints now just a half game back of the Bucs in the division.
Shout out to my dog PJ right here with the pick six shawty. Looking like your daddy, boy. Boy been studying tape, but a little delay on the hip, you know, tiptoe to the pylon for the finisher. Shout out to my dog. Running that rock toting that pill, he been studying tape clearly.
Tough game, good team, but we didn't obviously play the way we're capable, and I got to play better, so tough loss. Tough to win that way when you turn the ball over like we did. So I got to not throw interceptions. That's the key.
That was an embarrassing display of football. From all the things that we talked about coming down here to what it was going to take to win, and to play like that starts with me. Obviously, we weren't ready to play, and penalties, turnovers, you're not beating anybody that way.
That was new Saints running back Mark Ingram talking about P.J. Williams and his game-sealing pick six. Then Tom Brady and Bruce Arians commenting on the loss for the Bucs here. And that for a team, at least in the regular season, in the New Orleans Saints, that has absolutely had the Bucs number here, Bucky. And it feels like when the Saints match up against the Bucs, it's like a philosophical attitude type of difference here. How do you see it?
Oh, I absolutely see that. In that clip later, Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram talked about, hey, when we played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's a bad game. So this goes all the way back to the playoffs when they won the Super Bowl, and Reggie Bush came out of the tunnel with the bat because Sean Payton picks a game every year where they say they need to bring the wood. They have to be the most physical team on the field, and the bat symbolizes that. Well, when they talk about a bad game, the one thing that I see when I watch this team play against the Bucs, oh, they love the physicality, and they're certainly not afraid of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 5 out of the last 6 times they've matched up, the New Orleans Saints have won. 3 out of the last 4 in the Tom Brady era has gone to the Saints. So when they see the pewter run out the tunnel, they get excited, and what you see is a team that is not afraid to go nose-to-nose on the outside. The pass rush finds a way to get home, and once they get around Tom Brady, it changes the way that he plays. It's all about the physicality, the toughness, and the effort. The New Orleans Saints certainly bring that whenever they see the Bucs.
As a member of the Buccaneers, Tom Brady now 0-3. Leading the Bucs and has thrown 7 interceptions. What is it about the way that Dennis Allen coordinates the Saints defense to find success, at least in the regular season against Tom Brady?
They don't give him airspace. They don't give the wide receivers airspace. You see them go nose-to-nose, play tough man-to-man defense. That allows the pass rush to have a little more time to get to the quarterback because they're not getting the free releases. Also, you talk about Dennis Allen. Just know Chris Richard has come over to be the secondary coach. Yeah. You see those cornerbacks playing a little better, cleaner technique. He's one of the best in the business. It's part of the philosophy. They challenge the Bucs at the wide receiver. They make it very testy and tough for them, and as a result, they force Tom Brady to throw into tight windows.
Now, for the Saints on offense, it was a game not without adversity. I mean, they lose Jameis Winston very early in this game on a tackle from Devin White that forced Winston out, and now torn ACL and some MCL damage, so he is gone for the season. So Siemian comes in. How did Payton engineer some success for this offense right away? I mean, they scored 17 points on the first 3 drives that Siemian was in there.
Well, here's the thing about Sean Payton. One, I think we have to give him his flowers. Everyone has recognized and appreciated him as one of the best offensive minds. But what he does with quarterbacks is amazing. 13-3 they've been since 2019 when they haven't had Drew Brees on the field. That is Sean Payton's ability to take any and every quarterback and put him in a comfort zone. But there you see it. Play action passes, great protection up front. And the quarterbacks understand, hey, you don't have to be a hero, take the check down. How many times do we see the ball go to the underneath receiver and they allow those guys to go to work? I just believe that Sean Payton pumps his quarterbacks with a lot of confidence, and he also calls the game for them to win it. But it also helps when you know that your defense can hold it down, and they are good enough on defense that they don't have to be overzealous trying to chase points.
No, you better believe that. And now here's the question, right? Because Trevor Siemian, one of 4 backup quarterbacks to help engineer a victory for their teams on this Week 8 Sunday. Now looking going forward for the Saints, Taysom Hill has been banged up. See if he comes back. And then you got Ian Book, the rookie, out there as well at quarterback outside of Jameis Winston. Is Siemian the guy moving forward, or do they turn back to Taysom if healthy?
Well, I think Taysom Hill gets the nod because there was a competition between Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston during the preseason, so I would think he would get first bite at the apple. However, that does still give them a chance to still use Trevor Siemian as they use those packages. Maybe Trevor Siemian comes and does some of the traditional dropback stuff that Jameis was doing. Taysom Hill does what he's customarily done as kind of the change of pace wildcat weapon. I think however this goes, you're going to see a more ball control approach from the New Orleans Saints. And really, it doesn't really change what they do. This is a team that is now built around their defense, with the offense serving as the complement. Nothing changes. More pressure on the defense, but I think they're ready to take on that task.
Taysom Hill 3-1 as a starter last year for the New Orleans Saints. Let's move on. Game number 2 of our Big 3 right here in Los Angeles, where the Patriots, 27-24 winners. They become the first team to beat Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert twice. Think about that for a second. And now back-to-back losses for the Chargers this season, coinciding with Herbert's worst 2 performances of the season.
Offensively, it was a tough day out there, and turned the ball over too many times, and you can't do that and expect to win in this league, especially not a team like that who, they played all well on all 3 phases, and I thought the defense did a great job getting us stops today, but it fell on us, fell us short. Yeah, we saw a lot of cover 2, and so that's just one of those things that they hadn't shown a lot all year, and so that's one of those game plan things that you have to go into the game and see and address at halftime, and I thought we did a good job communicating that, and like I said earlier, I thought we ran the ball really well. Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson, those guys ran the ball really hard. The guys up front did a great job blocking, so there's a lot of good, but a lot of things that we need to fix.
You heard him mention the cover 2, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting piece of this whole game plan now against Justin Herbert these last couple of weeks. But in this one in particular, he had more time to throw on average in this game than in any of the 7 games previous here for the LA Chargers. So why wasn't he able to find some ways to move the ball here in this game?
So here's what I love about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is a historian, and he loves to kind of dig in the garage and find out the old game plans that he used. So this goes back to the time when he was with the New York Giants, and they played the Buffalo Bills with the K-gun. And the New York Giants in that Super Bowl, they bumped around the Buffalo Bills in cover 2. Beat them up, made it difficult for the wide receivers on the outside, didn't give free access, and those things. And for Justin Herbert, what this does is it changes the timing of the passing game. So now when your guys have had free releases, they've been able to run free and get to wherever they want to, you can throw on time. Well, when the Patriots are beating them up, jamming them, throwing them around on the outside, the timing changes and you begin to pat the ball. Also, the Patriots dared the Chargers to run the football.
Yeah.
Because when you force teams to run the football, it is a slower grind for them to score points. And are you patient and disciplined enough to do it? Also, if you make them run more plays, the odds go in your favor because something bad typically happens. And so it's the Patriots doing what they do, playing situational football where they master the DBO game. Don't beat ourselves. Don't give up big plays. Don't literally have a bunch of penalties. And don't turn the ball over. You do those 3 things, you win games. And that's why the Patriots were able to win this game.
You know, going back to what Justin Herbert said after the Ravens loss a couple of weeks ago here for the Chargers, he said the Ravens threw some stuff at him that they hadn't seen on tape. Said the same thing after this loss here to the Patriots. Does that say something at all about the way they're preparing or the way that they are adjusting in game?
Well, I mean, I think it says, one, that everyone has a healthy amount of respect for the Chargers and Justin Herbert.
Trying to find new wrinkles, right?
Yes, yeah. For Justin Herbert to get this kind of respect where they're changing game plans and getting out of character in terms of how they're playing, it says that they believe he is one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Now the trick is, because Justin Herbert, you've gone around the league a full lap, and this is year 2, you're going to get the adjustments. So now it's on him to adjust to what the adjusters are doing. And so Brandon Staley, Joe Lombardi, they have to figure out, what is our plan when people take away our fastball? Do we have something that we can do?
Yeah.
Do we have a knuckler, a changeup, something that we can give them to get back into the mix? But that's where they're at right now with the Chargers.
Some good news for the Chargers. Their run defense much better in this game, as Brandon Staley, their head coach, acknowledged it afterwards, held the Patriots under 4 yards per carry. Now for New England, we'll get to Mac Jones and their rookie quarterback and his performance in this game just ahead in our rookie report cards. Let's get to game 3 of the Big Three, and for that we head to Cleveland. A 15-10 home loss to the Steelers, sending the Browns back to the cellar of the AFC North. Cleveland mustering just 10 points on 5 drives that ended in Steelers territory, including their last 2 possessions, which resulted in a fumble and a turnover on downs and a terrific defensive effort on the day for Pittsburgh.
Put the collective in front of personal agendas, man, and we fought. And that's the only way you get out of those environments, particularly with some of the adversity that we face today, some of which was created by us, some of which was created by me. You know, the fake field goal, man, was a bad call because we poorly executed it. And so I take responsibility for that. I appreciate the guys backing my play and fighting for 60 minutes and delivering victory and making it a side note.
Talked about the fake field goal. Chris Boswell, took a huge hit on that fake field goal, knocked him out for the rest of the game. So they were without their kicker, part of what Mike Tomlin was referencing there. But does it feel like this, kind of an ugly game, defense shine for Pittsburgh? Does it feel like the Steelers are finding the way that they want to play this season with this team?
Yeah, so here's the thing, Red. We can talk about it. We've been around football enough to know that typically you don't find your identity of the team until about the midway point of the season.
Here we go.
You can speculate how you want to play and get into the offseason, do all these fancy plays. But then when you start playing real games and you get it on tape, you begin to look at your team and try and figure out the best way to do it. The Steelers were 1-3 at one point. They have reeled off 3 straight wins. And the one thing that is showing up, defense is playing well, but now they're beginning to run the football. Najee Harris is spectacular, so we knew he was good coming into the league. But the offensive line is gelling. Matt Canada is finding a way to create some plays in the passing game. And the Steelers are now playing what I call old school Steelers football. Before the killer bees and they were throwing it all over the yard, this is how the Steelers used to always get down. Great defense, run it, muddy up the game, win it 15-10, 17-13, low scores, and you felt like you had been in a 12-round boxing match. That is what the Steelers are doing, and this is their recipe for success. And the one thing that you don't want to happen in the AFC, you don't want the Steelers to find their way.
Right.
Because if they get into the tournament, you know that they know how to beat you up and muck it up. And so this is Mike Tomlin doing a great job of finding a way to win the game.
Almost like this version of the Steelers feels more real than what we saw those first 11 games when they were undefeated last year. Career high 26 carries for Najee Harris in this game. Now let's get to the Browns, because if you take this thing somewhat full circle here from the last time we saw them against the Steelers in that wild card game where they beat Pittsburgh, beat Big Brother, do it in the playoffs, and now you come back here to what we just saw. Where do we stand on this Cleveland Browns team now sitting in last place in the AFC North?
Well, they're learning how difficult it is to be a team that is consistently excellent. The appreciation that we have for the teams that are always in the tournament, that are always around. When we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs or how we used to revere the New England Patriots, there is something to having staying power. And the Browns are learning that it's different going from being the hunter to being the hunted. A lot of preseason hype about this team being a Super Bowl team. A lot of talent on the team. But now you get everybody's best game. You're the measuring stick. They're having to learn how to deal with that, and the injuries certainly haven't helped them learn how to deal with it.
Feels like, once again, Myles Garrett, best player on the field for the Cleveland Browns. Another sack in this game. He now has 10.5 on the season. That's the most in the league, and puts him on pace for 22.5 this year, which, of course, would tie the Hall of Famer Michael Strahan's single-season record. Still to come, here on this Move the Sticks Monday, which superstars could soon be playing for a new team? Our best offers for the trade deadline tomorrow are just ahead. But first, how did Cooper rush to the Cowboys' rescue in Minnesota? How about it? And how will the Titans overcome any absence of Derrick Henry? Bucky, breaking down the tape for us. Little XO next. One of four backup quarterbacks to help engineer wins on Sunday. Cooper Rush in for the injured Dak Prescott, throwing for over 300, including the game-winning TD toss to Amari Cooper. Head coach Mike McCarthy saying, I was glad everybody got to see that because that is Cooper Rush. He plays the quarterback position like a seasoned veteran. And with that, Bucky, looking at this 2016 win now for the Cowboys with Cooper Rush at the helm, it wasn't like they just turned around and handed it off 40 times. They threw it 40 times in this game. Play caller Kellen Moore knows what it means to be a backup quarterback in this league. Do you feel like that helped the connection between he and Cooper Rush as they formulated this game plan?
Absolutely. I feel like Kellen Moore's experience as a backup quarterback helped Cooper Rush have success. I believe Kellen Moore's ability to prepare and know how you have to come off the bench and do those things certainly does it. But because Cooper Rush got all of the work this week in practice, I believe the Cowboys were able to build a game plan that really set him up for success. And he has come a long way from the struggles that we saw in training camp where you just didn't know who was going to be the Cowboys' backup quarterback. But you put him in the situation where he has a ton of talent. There you see CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, guys that can get it done. Behind him, he has Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. They can run the ball when needed. And so all he had to do was really just manage the game. But he did more than that. 325 yards, where you don't expect a backup quarterback to do it. And then with the game hanging in the balance, the Cowboys are calling passing plays and trusting the backup quarterback to get it done. It is, look, big onions by Kellen Moore to be able to do it. But it's even greater confidence that the coaching staff and the players having Cooper Rush on the practice field, he certainly earned their respect. And so they were able to trust him when it counted.
And Amari Cooper, after the game, was telling a story about in the huddle on that last drive, I guess on that touchdown call, the call came in for a double left formation, which would have put Amari Cooper on the left side and CeeDee Lamb on the right. But CeeDee was like, no, you sure that's not double right? Which would have put him then on the left and in position for that. So I guess they went back and forth trying to lobby Cooper Rush for it, but Amari Cooper, seniority wins out in that scenario right there?
Seniority wins out. 1A, 1B in the passing game. So then they play rock, paper, scissors in the huddle.
And then looking at the Vikings here, it's falling to 3-4 right now. I mean, not being able to slow down a backup quarterback on defense, what does that tell you about this team's fortunes this season?
This is a really disappointing team. Like, this is a team that for the last 4 or 5 years we thought that they were ready to make the next jump. But they can't get it done. And then Kirk Cousins gets outplayed by a backup quarterback under 200 yards.
You've been having such a good season. I mean, it's been a really nice year so far for Kirk Cousins. Just did not have the explosiveness on offense in this one for Minnesota. And with that, let's move to another game here. We've already talked a little bit about Derrick Henry's injury for the Tennessee Titans and their come from behind victory. They were down 14-0 like that in this game, but then come back and get the win in overtime, improve to 3-0. I mean, this team is running away with the AFC South. You might as well give them the crown right now for the Tennessee Titans. But let's look at the Colts here for a moment with Carson Wentz, who had been very clean in the turnover category coming into this game, but two absolutely can't have it plays. Talking about that throwaway in his own end zone at the end of regulation. They were able to overcome that, but not the Byard pick in OT.
Yeah, not the Byard pick. 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter in overtime. And what you don't like is Carson Wentz had done a really good job of avoiding the hero play, right? And Frank Reich always gives him a reminder, hey, you don't have to do everything. Just trust your teammates, let them do it. To throw the ball left-handed for an interception, I understand he's about to get to safety and he's trying to make a play. That doesn't happen. And then to go back and throw the interception to Michael Pittman when there are 3 guys around, that's tough. That said, I won't give up on the Indianapolis Colts because they're still built the right way. They had success running the football, and for the most part, Carson Wentz is playing the right way. He just has to avoid the temptation to be a hero. Man, just get the ball out your hands, manage the game. They do that, they win a ton of games.
The rookie corner, Elijah Molden, actually said, as I was listening to SiriusXM NFL radio on my way home, that Kevin Byard called that play out before he made that interception. Like, he knew what was coming. He told the Titans what was going to happen, and he made it happen. It tells you what a great player Kevin Byard is for the Tennessee Titans, one of their most valuable on defense. And now on offense, who is going to be most valuable with Derrick Henry out having surgery on his foot for an injury sustained in this game. And so let's look to A.J. Brown, right? He's got 25 catches, 379 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns in the last 3 games. So with that, let's tee off a little stop and watch now with Bucky Brooks.
A.J. Brown is one of the hottest receivers in the game. The last 3 games, he has been on fire. And now there may be a little concern about the Tennessee Titans losing Derrick Henry, but I'm going to tell you this offense can still get it done. So here we're going to see what the Titans normally do. Heavy formation, King Henry sitting in the center, overload formation, 5 offensive linemen and tight ends to this side. Tell the defense, look, this is a run coming this way. Everybody's in the box. You have a one-on-one situation with A.J. Brown. The good thing about A.J. Brown, he's an outstanding route runner who is big, fast, and physical. We're going to see him run an out route and watch him create separation. Here at the top, Ryan Tannehill, a little play action fake, but at the top you see the physicality and toughness, create separation, and then he breaks the tackle and he takes it the distance. 6'1", 226 pounds, does a great job of putting the ball in the paint, 2 1,000-yard seasons. And so if you're a Tennessee Titans fan and you're worried about this offense going forward with King Henry, fret no more. A.J. Brown can still get it done on the outside.
All right, when we come back here on this Move the Sticks Monday, we are talking about those LA Rams and building blocks for the future here as we approach the midway point of this season. It's our Elite 8 when we come back. All right, back here with you on Move the Sticks, presented by Grifols Plasma Donation Centers. Rhett Lewis, Bucky Brooks in for the injured Daniel Jeremiah, who is suffering from too many Laffy Taffies, apparently, after Halloween. He'll be back with us later this week on Move the Sticks. Let's kick off our Elite 8 with some building blocks for the future here. These can be young players, and you might see a theme here with some young running backs. We'll get to that in a second, but let's start with the Rams and what you saw from Matthew Stafford as a building block.
Well, I mean, the number one thing that you have to be a Super Bowl team is a quarterback. Well, Matthew Stafford has given them an MVP caliber quarterback based on the way he is playing in Sean McVay's offense. When you look at this offense play, just look at the bottom line. 309 passing yards per game, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He has played at an MVP level at times with the Lions, but this is a different Matthew Stafford. He has the tools and weaponry around him, and Sean McVay is dialing it up. That's why it has been explosive. They are lighting the scoreboard up like the pinball machine.
And another building block for the LA Rams defense, recapping breaking news from the top of our show here today. Von Miller acquired by the Rams for a second and third round pick in this coming year's draft, bringing him over from the Denver Broncos. Big move for Rams GM Les Snead. And with that, I'll get you to another building block here. And I'm going to go with one of those rookie running backs. Elijah Mitchell for the San Francisco 49ers now becomes just the second 49er in team history to have second 49ers rookie in team history with 100-yard rushing performances in consecutive weeks. He is now the second leading rookie rusher in all of football. Not bad for a 6th-round pick out of the University of Louisiana.
Nah, not bad at all. And I love what he has done in this thing. I feel like this was Kyle Shanahan getting back to business with the running game. Another team that's getting back to business with the running game. How about the Green Bay Packers and A.J. Dillon? Somewhere in football heaven, Vince Lombardi is smiling, looking at A.J. Dillon run between the tackles. Had a 100-yard game against the Arizona Cardinals. But more importantly, he started delivering those tone-setting runs. And so when the Packers selected him in the 2nd round, there was a lot of consternation about not getting Aaron Rodgers a weapon. They did get him a weapon. They gave him a ground weapon, a tank, someone that can run the football to complement Aaron Jones. This could be their best path going forward because in the playoffs it's about physicality and toughness. He gives them a little edge on offense.
We're giving some love to some young running backs today because I'm going with another one from the New York Jets, Michael Carter, your guy.
Yeah,
Tar Heel, baby. Here we go. Career high, 172 scrimmage yards for the Jets rookie runner, 77 on the ground. Added in 9 receptions, and it's this dual threat ability, this versatility that we loved from Michael Carter coming out of UNC, coming into this year's draft, and which made him one of the top 5 running backs in this class, and will prove to be a steal at the top of the 4th round in the future for the New York Jets. Leads all rookie running backs in scrimmage yards this season. Nice building block here.
Nice building block. And I'm going to take another team in green. How about the Philadelphia Eagles rushing for over 200 yards against the Detroit Lions? And what I liked about how Nick Sirianni was able to get it done, it was a committee. It was everything. We saw Boston Scott have a ton. We saw Jordan Howard get a little bit. Jalen Hurts even got some of it. Jalen Reagor took a couple end arounds. Everyone it was like a big old party. I mean, it was Halloween, so everyone got a little trick-or-treat candy. And this is how the Eagles have to be able to do it. 236 rushing yards. You can't get that, but when you run the football, it does everything in terms of taking the pressure off of your quarterback, but also helping your defense. As a result, they put a 40 burger up. That's pretty good. And they were able to play great defense because they controlled the game.
Great defense. Do you remember when the Carolina Panthers were great defense? Do you remember when you and I talked about that? We did a whole episode on the NFL Inside Report podcast on it, on the roster construction for the Panthers, allowing this great young defense. Well, after those first 3 weeks, they really went into the tank. I mean, they dropped in terms of points per game allowed and total yards per game allowed. It was astronomical, the fall for the Panthers defense. But, baby, they are back. 213 total yards allowed. Kyle Pitts limited to just 2 receptions after going off in recent weeks. The Carolina Panthers defense has found something to build on here moving forward. If they can get Sam Darnold healthy enough to get back after going into concussion protocol here soon, I think this Panthers team could still make a run.
Yeah, they still can make a run. And another team that still can make a run would be the Seattle Seahawks. Ooh. If they're going to make a run, yes, Russell Wilson has to come back, but the defense has to improve. And there's a building block on that defense, and Quandre Diggs. Once again, Quandre Diggs got another interception. And so since 2017, in each of the years thereafter, he's had at least 3 interceptions, most by any player in the league, the only player to do so. And so when I think about this team, when the defense is playing well, and the Legion of Boom, who has been very quiet for the last couple of years, when they come back, it gives them a chance to be really good in this division. The defense has to play well for them to close the ground on their rivals.
On the other side, Trevor Lawrence's leading receiver in this game was a tight end, right? And Dan Arnold?
Yes.
How about a tight end here for a building block in Pittsburgh? And he's caught 25% of Ben Roethlisberger's touchdown passes this season. Pat Freiermuth with one of the catches of the season, coming down with that back in the end zone. That was on a 4th and goal. They didn't have a kicker to kick a field goal. They were down 10-9. They had to go for it, and he made it count. That touchdown, essentially the game winner for Pittsburgh. He actually said getting both feet in bounds was something he'd been working on in training camp in preseason and had been plaguing him coming out of college from Penn State. Clearly, the time he spent in that category has helped him. Pat Freiermuth, big-time building block moving forward for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with that, let's continue here on Move the Sticks. I brought up Trevor Lawrence. We got to go back to school now for our rookie quarterbacks. After the break, we are handing out some grades for the Week 8 performances of Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, and Justin Fields. Next. All right, back here with you on Move the Sticks this Monday. A reminder, a couple more episodes of the Move the Sticks podcast coming up for you this week. Each week, 3 episodes of the pod, which if you bring up the camera app on your smartphone and scan that QR code right now, you won't miss a single one because you can download the latest show available 3 per week here on Move the Sticks. Back here, Rhett Lewis and Bucky Brooks. And it's time for one of our favorite segments of the week. It is our rookie report cards. Let's lead it off with your guy, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, my guy, Trevor Lawrence, had a rough outing, so I'm going to give him a D. And it wasn't all Trevor Lawrence's fault. I felt like it was just a bad day for the Jaguars all around. Couldn't get guys that could separate. Lost his running back very early in the game in James Robinson. And so they need more big plays out of this offense because it's hard to just nickel and dime the ball down the field and score points. And ultimately, I think if you're sitting in the front office, he needs help. Trevor Lawrence needs more weapons, more playmakers. You got to double down and invest in the wide receiver position. They simply don't have enough for him to go out and get it done.
Yeah, keep in mind, Travis Etienne lost before the season. For the season, DJ Chark out for the year as well for Jacksonville. All right, I'll give you my notes here on Mac Jones. I think I ended up giving him a B- here, partly because they generated the win, but this was his least efficient game in terms of those quick throws, within 10 yards in the air, and just ball placement was a little off here. Receivers could have helped him a couple of times, but it wasn't his usual accuracy on those shorter throws. But man, when you watch him in the pocket versus the rush, such a calm heartbeat and a fast mind. He processes so quickly and does not get rattled. Love his pocket presence against pressure. Now back to you, Bucky, for a little Justin Fields.
Okay, the Bears QB1 has really come on like gangbusters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a B for his efforts against the 49ers. And what I love about it is the athleticism. There you see him moving around. It is everything that the people on the outside were saying he would give to this offense. His mobility, his scrambling ability has added a different dimension, and he's still a very effective passer. Once they figure out the best way to play offense with this guy in the center, he has a chance to be an all-star. Takes some seasoning and experience from him, but it takes a lot of deep digging for this offensive staff to build a plan that allows him to shine at the next level.
Loved seeing all that movement from Justin Fields, man. Just felt like it allowed the Bears so many more answers than we've seen in recent weeks. Look at him roll. Okay. Let's look at Mike White in his first career start, doing it for the Jets for the injured Zach Wilson. And man, did he have a day against the Bengals. Completed over 82% of his passes. He had 2 early interceptions, maybe not all on him off a couple of deflections, but man, did he rebound through 3 touchdowns, including the eventual game winner to Tyler Kroft and a near 108 passer rating. Bucky, he's just the second quarterback since 1950 to throw for over 400 yards in his debut. What did he do so well for this Jets offense that we'd yet to see really this season?
Well, here's the thing. Mike White's been around a lot of football for a while. He was drafted in 2018. He spent 2 seasons on the Jets practice squad before getting a chance to make the team this year. And so all of those reps, that experience allows him to play fast. Going back to college, he spent 5 years in college, 3 years as a starter. So he's played a lot of football. And so when I look at what they're doing, he is simply just managing the offense, taking the check down, taking the plays that are there, easy plays, easy pitching catch. And the Jets did a great job of using some of the simple concepts that are staples of Kyle Shanahan's systems back in the 49ers.
Yeah, and Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, up in the booth this week. Maybe that helped kind of clarify things offensively as well. Reportedly, Zach Wilson up there right next to him, too. So when we come back here on this Move the Sticks Monday, we're going to make an offer you can't refuse. Which stars are we sending to new destinations before tomorrow's trade deadline? Next.
you mic'd up. You the feds. You the feds.
I'm the feds today.
You gonna tell me?
If I ain't get a lot of sacks, then they hold me, all right? Come on, D. Focus.
He's hit and sacked. The ball is free. Von Miller with the sack.
I'm happy you're my quarterback, man. I'm happy I missed you. Thank you, bro. Yes, sir.
Hey, your Super Bowl 50 MVP is on the move. The Rams acquiring another veteran superstar ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline, acquiring Von Miller from the Broncos for a second and third round pick in this coming year's draft. So the Rams again pulling off a big move, and that kicks off our Griffles Scout Stories, presented by Griffles Plasma Donation Centers. Rhett Lewis, Bucky Brooks back here with you on a Move the Sticks Monday. Let's get some other trade deadline deals that we could see happening here, or at least that we would like to see happening. What you got, bud?
Oh, well, look, I'm going to go right off the top, and I believe the Green Bay Packers should make a move to get Odell Beckham Jr. To put alongside Devontae Adams. And I know the money may look funny, but if you have an opportunity to get an explosive route runner like Odell Beckham Jr. and pair him with what I call a legitimate quarterback, a high-end quarterback, something that he hasn't had all year, it would give him a chance to really show his talents. You put him opposite Devontae Adams, he gets more one-on-ones. And then the Odell Beckham Jr. that we're longing to see, I think that number 13 shows up in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love it. I mean, it had just one catch in this last game for Cleveland for 6 yards. Now, given he's been dealing with a shoulder injury, just from a realistic standpoint, wonder how that would hold up any potential deal for OBJ. But I love the philosophical fit and what that would do for Devontae Adams. And look, the Packers have been bringing in veteran players left and right. You go back to Jalen Smith, Whitney Merciless. So I don't know. Maybe it's not that far-fetched, Bucky. I like where your head's at here. I'm going to go with one that maybe is a little less star quality, but given the news today that Derrick Henry is having surgery on a foot injury that he suffered in this latest win for the Titans against the Colts, thinking they might need to bolster that backfield a little bit. And if Adrian Peterson isn't the guy going in for a workout with the Titans this week, maybe Mike Davis would be available for the Atlanta Falcons. Has been a real serviceable runner for teams in the past. And Cordero Patterson really seems to have established himself as kind of the number one option out of the backfield, both on the ground and through the air. So I wonder if Tennessee could strike a deal, probably take some sort of conditional pick late round to get Mike Davis out of Atlanta.
Yeah, look, Mike Davis would certainly be a nice addition to the Tennessee Titans because they need a physical power runner, someone that can get downhill, someone that can make the opponent put other dudes in the box, because then we talk about Julio Jones, A.J. Brown being able to get loose on the outside, but it starts with having a bell cow running back, one that you have to respect, and respect him by putting another defender in the box.
All right, so those, some of those things might end up being fantasy, but in reality, what does the trade conversation look like in front offices? How do scouts play a role in that?
Well, I mean, scouts play a role in terms of the general manager would come down and ask the scouts how he feels about certain players. What does the draft class look like? If we're going to jettison this player at this position, can we get it back in spades in the next draft? And so your working knowledge of what's going on in your area as a college scout is one way. As a pro scout, you're talking about trade values and those things. You're more in the loop because you're in the building each and every day. So it's one of those situations where you try and lean into people's expertise to get a full picture of what the landscape will look like after you make this move and after you may lose a key member of your team.
Exactly right. We already saw one deal get done today, Rams acquiring Von Miller. All right, when we come back here on a Move the Sticks Monday, how about a day for backup quarterbacks? 4 QB2s helping engineer victories for their teams on Sunday. Cooper Rush to the rescue for Dallas. Got to use it as many times as possible. Who knows how long we'll get it. Backup quarterbacks, what they mean going forward next.